All right, I've already done my good deeds for the day, Barker.
Doesn't count if I said it first.
I've already done my good deeds.
Doesn't count.
Just alerted somebody to the fact that they left their wallet in the studio. It is Blair and Barker.
I wonder if there's anything in it.
Quick, why don't you go look? Leave the camera and me, Barker. Go check.
That's rude.
Well, you never know. Could be one of the hockey.
Bad karma.
Could be one of the hockey guys. Anyhow, it's Blair and Barker for June 11th.
It's awfully big.
That's pretty thick.
It is thick.
Yep. Looks like American money.
You wish.
Hey, we've got a big show ahead today. David Samson, Jayson Werth, former MLB outfielder with the Jays, Dodgers, Phillies, and Nationals, and co-owner of Dornoch.
That's how you say it?
Yeah, I think
That's
it's
awesome.
Dornoch. It's a Scottish thing, I think. Anyhow, winner of the 2024 Belmont Stakes.
Man,
He'll join us at
that's pretty
5:30.
Cool. Teammate of mine.
I mean, him and everybody else. And Isiah Kiner-Falefa will be along at 4:30.
That's awesome.
So this is a good show. Well done to Mark Boffel, who
440, by the way.
4:40. Doesn't matter.
It does
4:30.
matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
Be perfect.
I start now. I mean, you keep
Never
doing
too late.
you keep doing shows like this, Boffel. You're going to raise the bar way too high.
Well, I mean, I think people tune into this show, they expect it. Sorry. It's facts.
You know what else is a fact?
They're not hit.
They're not hitting. 3-1, the Barker's Blue Jays
It's literally
losing
like
to the
Groundhog
Milwaukee
Day.
Brewers. I told you. It seems to me, honestly, it seems to me like we are in inning number 550 of the same game. And it's just the pitchers that change. And everything else remains the same. The Jays 3-1 losers to the Milwaukee Brewers last night. They are 32 and 34.
Scored one run.
He scored one run off Colin Ray.
Seriously. I mean, he's a good pitcher, but
Yusei Kikuchi on the mound tonight against Carlos Rodriguez, one of the Mariners.
he's Ray. That's who he is. Like, he got
Got a slider and
a change-up, a curveball, two different heaters.
So
he'll go glove side.
So the Jays have him right
But
where they want him.
He'll
Jays have him
force
right where they want
them to hit the ball the other way. Any chance that's a possibility?
him. No. He was 4-5 with a 5.17 ERA in 12 games with the Nashville Sounds and
Calling
AAA.
them up at the right time.
I think a lot
the
of that-
ball carries in the PCL. That's the PCL, right?
Nashville?
Pretty sure it's PCL.
Nashville. That's in Tennessee.
Well, no kidding.
Why
I'm
would it
pretty
be in
sure
the
it's the-
PCL?
That's true. Anyway,
I mean, who knows? It's in the International League.
Yeah, it is.
Just think it was a
Nashville.
piece- International League.
Yeah,
Nashville.
I played in the International League. I never played in Nashville. That's why I said that. Pretty sure it's PCL. But anyway, whatever. I'm about 1,000% sure that I was in the International League for a bazillion years and
Things
never
change,
played in
though. Don't
Nashville.
forget-
That's what I said.
don't
Yeah,
forget, though,
maybe it's
things
changed. I ain't
change.
played there in 30 years. So yeah, you're probably right.
I mean,
I mean, don't get all
you know, you're
crazy
gonna
here and
make-
have to look it up.
well, I'm going to look it
I
up.
mean, I'm maybe it is. There's some.
I mean, because
decent
I mean,
hitters in
look,
the
geography,
International League.
and geography doesn't make. I mean, geography doesn't matter. I mean, look at college football. I mean, you got the teams in California are in the ACC pretty much
Yeah,
now.
it's just
the way
in the
it works.
PCL. You got to go to Colorado Springs and Vegas.
Oh,
and,
they are
ball-
International League.
ball. That's
International
changed.
League.
See, I wasn't there when I.
You know who their manager is?
Who? Oh, Rick Sweet. Oh, that's awesome.
Anyhow, there you go. So Carlos Rodriguez, we should actually call Rick and say, Rick, give us the 411 on this
In the
guy.
break, I will give Boff the number and see if we can get
There
him
you
on.
go.
I'm sure he's still in batting.
There's really not much to talk about after last night's game. Maybe the truest thing John Schneider has said all year was that the only excitement last night was the 2 innings it took him to get Vladdy's bat.
That thing's been
Other than-
everywhere. On every station
again,
you've ever turned it to today.
You would think
That's all the thing they were showing.
as I
was
said
Vladdy's
yesterday,
bat.
you think it was Cirque du Soleil or something.
Have you never seen that before?
I've seen it.
I've physically done that. Like, I've been chapped because I couldn't afford another bat. So I was like climbing the net trying to get it. Like, that's the difference, is he just got a bazillion of them, and he can just pick from the other bazillion that he's got.
Rick could call his buddy Teoscar and have him send us some bats, which he
Yeah, I mean,
apparently
he
did.
was pretty excited to get it back. You could tell he was hugging it and kissing it.
Yeah.
rubbing
Actually,
it.
he smelt it. First
I do
thing he
that
did.
sometimes.
A lot of guys do. Edwin Encarnacion used
you know
to.
why? You know why? It smells like fire.
Yep.
When you foul a ball
I have-
off in the wood and the friction,
I
smell it. It smells like fire. Yeah, that's
Eddie
not
used to do that all the time.
that's not a good thing. It's not. It's the Josh Donaldson thing. When you get a good one, you better hit it, boy.
Yeah,
Because if you don't, you Probably not going to get another good.
So there you go. Yeah, there was really not a whole hell of a lot going on last night.
Other than the bad base running.
Other than the bad base running by Spencer Horwitz in the first inning.
You think John missed a golden opportunity to set an example? To send a message to his team that even though they're 2 games under 500, this is not the way the Blue Jays are going to play?
Taking the dude who just got up from AAA and sitting him?
No. I don't care. I mean, he's 20. How many times have you said he's not a kid?
Yeah,
he should know how to run the bases.
Yeah, he should. But, no, I mean, now you're such a...
I'm asking you the question.
Now you're getting down that hockey rabbit hole.
That's not the hockey. That's not a rabbit hole.
It was a bad. It was the. It was an awful base running mistake.
Awful. I didn't run bases like that in the Mexican League. And I was trying to get them games over as quick as I
know. I was going to say, and you wanted to get off the field.
Oh, boy, it was running into them as quick as you
One thing I learned about you is you really did not care if your team won in the Mexican League. You just wanted to get off the field.
It was 1,000 degrees, first of all, and my career was over. I mean, I was sitting in my birthday suit on the bus. Like,
Jose Barrios, maybe second least effective game of the year, 8 of 22 first pitch strikes, 5 2/3 innings, but he hung in there.
9 3-ball counts, too. I mean, 3-ball counts was not good.
No. Solo home runs on poorly located slurs to Jackson Churrillo, Willie Adames, and then Willie Adames hit a sacrifice fly to Davis Schneider. And in that moment, I think we may have seen, and I'm not second guessing the manager here because he's got to do. Anybody who can get a hit plays. I get that. But I wonder, Varsho in left, Kiermaier in center, Springer in right, maximizing run prevention against a team. And you know one thing Milwaukee does is they do put the pedal to the metal. I don't know. I wondered if maybe that was an example. Do they run on Dalton Varsho? And then it's 2-1 instead of 3-1. I mean, I'm just asking. I don't know. It wouldn't have mattered anyhow.
So they would have lost 2-1 instead of 3-1.
They would have lost 2-1 instead of 3-1.
What's the difference?
I just asked.
Dalton Varsho doesn't have the strongest of arms either. He's very accurate.
All right.
He's a very good route runner.
But I mean, there was
behind the ball better.
There was no doubt that they were running.
No,
on Davis Schneider.
They would have ran on either one of them guys.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
trying to find something different.
I was more intrigued about the bad base running, and I know some managers I'd played for in the past that would have caught me coming off the field and basically said, "Enjoy the bench." Don't do it again ever. John in my mind with the offense that he's been given. I mean, it's a miracle that they are only 2 games under 500. Let's not lie about it. It is an absolute miracle. Yeah. But I think every once in a while, I don't care how they're hitting. I don't care where a dude's hitting in the order. When this is the big leagues, like this is not high school. This is where you put your head down and run until somebody tags you. That's not the way this works.
You made this point yesterday on Blue Jays Talk.
Does that get off my lawn, guy? Am I a little that right now?
No, I don't think so. I just the idea that he's going to take Spencer Horwitz out of the game never occurred to me. He's just not. He's just not. I mean, he can't.
Okay.
And it's not. And I don't know if it. I don't know if it. I don't know if it sends a message.
Oh,
anyhow.
Absolutely it would.
I mean,
he'd never do it again.
I think.
Shuffle, stop.
I think Spencer Horwitz probably is. He probably has an idea of what he has to do, and that isn't what he has to do. But I mean, you know what? You played, so I don't know. Maybe it would work. I just don't think guys necessarily respond to that. Because one thing about Spencer Horwitz, it doesn't appear to me as if he's a guy who lollygags.
What do you mean in response to that? Like it's the big leagues.
Yeah,
you gotta hold players to a higher standard.
Yeah, whatever. It's a big leagues, and this is a team that isn't scoring any.
Well, I came from a guy like me. The only reason I speak like this is I had to. If I did not, I was in the minor
but the
leagues.
Game was
period. End
the
of
game
story.
was different when you played.
There's no. Yeah, obviously. I mean, obviously they coddle these guys in kids' gloves, and it'll be okay.
See, that's one of the things in that survey yesterday. That survey yesterday. That is exactly what those anonymous players were talking about in that athletic survey yesterday.
They were talking to
guys forgot how tough it is to play the game.
Yeah, that's baseball IQ. That's got nothing to do with hitting a round thing with a round thing or hitting a cutoff guy or, going first. That's got nothing to do with that. That plays right in front of you. You got to know where you're at, who's coming up, situation of the game, what your team's not doing well. It's called the big leagues, Jeff.
I set something up for you.
Uh-oh.
And I was going to give you credit for something, and then you just completely shut the door on it
after the game,
and I can't remember for the life of me what it is. I almost feel like giving out phone numbers right now. No. Yeah, you made this point, which I hadn't really thought of. The Blue Jays yesterday, 5-3 up, 3 down.
Yeah.
Sunday, 5-3 up.
In a row.
3 down.
On Sunday, it was in a row.
In a row.
3 up, 3 downs.
That is, nothing says we can't hit more than 3 up, 3 down.
Can't's a strong word now. It's the inability to make the in-game adjustment. It's mind-boggling. Like you got a bazillion. There's khakis running all over the place. There's how many hitting coaches? Like you think somebody raised their hand and go, "Hey guys, you do know he's throwing glove side. Like he's going to force us to go the other way. Step across the plate if you have to hit." I mean, the only guy that did it last night was David Schneider on that line drive to right, the elevated fastball. Like I think that's a little right center, maybe more a little center than right center. But that's what it is. It's playing the game the right way. It's doing the little things. It's being a tough out. You get me out the first time, the second time going to be a little tougher. Was it harder on Ray the second time through the order? It's probably easier. 3 through 6 yesterday was 0 for 13. That's about as easy as 0 for 13 as you're going to get. That's the whole point. I mean, I understand baseball's hard. It's never been harder, obviously. But, I mean, go down with a fight. Like, know that the front side pull thing can't always happen for 3 or 4 at-bats in a row, Jeff. Like, it's not rocket science anymore the way they're trying to get these righties out. It's, the very smart people and the pitching coaches understand now that force them to go over there to right field. If they can beat us stringing together or somebody running into one to right field, we're going to tip our hat. But I'll bet you they can't. Have they? It's rare. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's just, that's the part of it, I think, can't strong. It is just a little odd and confusing, and you can throw in mind-boggling, that it's like Groundhog Day. This guy tonight, if he was watching the game, Rodriguez, he's basically Ray. If I were watching, I'm getting my catcher to set up on the black away, and if Vlad, name a righty, can hit line drives to right field and beat me, but I bet you they can't. That's what you do. That's how you get them out. It's called a game of adjustments. And when you don't make them, you're one of the worst offenses in baseball. That's the confusing part for me, is just how they say that, we give them all this information and it's up to the player to execute it. Well,
Alejandro Kirk got a home run.
Yeah, hanging whatever that cutter slider thing was at 85 miles an hour. His bat looks quicker.
Well, it does, because he's only playing like once every. We've talked about
this is the way you're going to have to get the best of Kirk offensively, is not playing.
Speaking of catchers, by the way.
Bad.
Speaking of catchers, by the way, the Philadelphia Phillies 20 minutes ago announced they're putting JT Realmuto on the IL. He is going to undergo a right knee meniscectomy. Anyhow, he sounds bad. Sounds like a Philly suburb. Where are you from? I'm from Meniscectomy, New Jersey. Anyhow, he's going to undergo right knee surgery. The extent of the injury is not immediately clear, although it's worth noting the team called his injury right knee pain as opposed to calling it something more severe.
I mean, his defenses went south, I think, this year. Maybe that's the reason why. It's just movement side to side.
Yeah. Did you? He was interesting watching him in that London series. He was not. There was.
Looked awkward.
Yeah. Looked to me like an old beat-up catcher.
I mean, he's done it a long time.
No, I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm saying
he's like Danny. They put him right in the meat of that order.
Yes.
Get on in front of Harper.
Yeah.
They ask a lot from him. So, hopefully he gets better. And I want to see how good the Phillies are with their entire lineup on the field. See if they can finish it. They got, in my eyes, they're the best team in baseball. I mean, they're right there with the Yankees and whoever else you want to, the Dodgers. And
Morosi said it yesterday, too. I mean, that pitching staff is historically good.
It's crazy.
It's
me against you, and me is better.
Every day.
Basically what it is.
Every day.
I've said this to you.
How many times on the mound is better than your team?
We talk about the lineup for the Jays. How many times does John write the lineup out and go, man, the talent here is just going to overwhelm this guy? Well, the Phillies can basically say that. We got a lot of talent, and I don't think that on an everyday basis, or at least for 7 games, you can beat us. So I hope everybody's healthy. We're going to find out. Be kind of nice to watch.
Yes, it would be very nice to see that. They are a fun team to watch. I admit that I haven't I haven't paid as much attention to the Phillies. For some reason, I watched a lot of the London series this week. I just really enjoyed it.
I did too.
I thought it was fun. I actually caught the, I don't know if you heard it, I caught a little bit of Darren Fletcher, who did the English call and was brilliant. He's done football. I think he's actually a boxing guy, if I'm not mistaken, play-by-play. He's done some soccer play-by-play. He's done a bunch of stuff in the UK. Yeah. It was really good. I mean, the London series was tremendous. So I watched the Phillies. I just find them, they're maybe even, this is weird, because obviously the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and they've got Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the Phillies play than the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think
I'd rather watch the Phillies play than the Yankees.
They're 2024 baseball, right? They got the three-headed monster up front in the rotation. Yeah. They got power in the pen who can punch everybody out. They can do it lefty, righty, and they got a lot of vinegar in that lineup. Like it's bad intentions. Yeah. Boy, it is walking to the plate. I mean, it starts their leadoff hitter too. And Schwarber is just basically the perfect Philly.
Oh my God! Yes.
Walk to the plate, and I'm like King Kong. And then it's just I'm going to open the floodgates, and here comes a bunch of just like me. It's like that's sort of what it is. And Alec Baum is, sort of the bookend to all of that. Yeah, and they're going to be a handful. And I'm sure they're going to add pieces, too. They're going to add something, it's like,
David, it'll be interesting because you've got two GMs, David Dombrowski and Alex Anthopoulos, going toe-to-toe. And it was funny. I saw an interview with Brian Snitker, the Braves manager. And he said, Alex is on the phone right now.
Yeah, they're only 7 games above 500 too. Like they're scratching and clawing. Yeah. Like they're trying to, they're going to be in the playoffs. But it's how do you get to the playoffs? How do you look when you go to the playoffs?
If you're the Atlanta Braves now, just getting into the playoffs isn't good enough.
Maybe. I think they were whining last couple of years about how the time off and those things. They ain't going to have to worry about this year. Like they're going to have to earn their way through it, which maybe is a better, outcome for them. Who knows? It's different anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it definitely is. But we're going to. One of the things we're going to talk to David Samson about is Bryce Harper brought up the idea of having an in-season tournament.
I love it,
like the NBA does, and then have the final or the semifinals and the final in London.
You'd have to obviously give them incentive, pay them, and you got this amount of money if you're.
Well, that's what the NBA has done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it wouldn't bother me because I don't want to shut down the season to play the Olympics. I just think that's silly. I don't want to, and I don't think owners would basically give up 2 weeks of money plus whatever recovery time your pitchers, your players are going to need for really to quote unquote grow the game.
Yeah,
that the idea that the Olympics grow your sport is just stupid. It doesn't.
But money makes you try. I mean, if you're a player, right? That's
what I'm saying. Now, I mean, money. I don't know how much money would be a part of the Olympic experience, but if this is added money with, it would have to be pretty considerable, like $1 million for every winning player, every player in the team, or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. I'd be okay with that. I didn't like the idea in the NBA originally, but that was mainly because the NBA right now, with load management, it's already bad enough. I mean, you don't know. You buy a ticket to see LeBron James play, and you're taking the chance that LeBron James isn't going to play.
Yeah.
So any excuse for the players to take time off, I wouldn't be in favor of that. I don't think baseball players would necessarily view it that way.
Well, I think it's about travel, right? Where would the games be? You would want the championship game maybe in London. Yeah. However many games those are, but to actually get to the championship game, that's where you'd have to figure out
6 or 7 hours. It's a 6 or 7 hour flight in a charter. It's from here to Oakland.
Yeah, but it would be health reasons and travel. How would you take care of those two things?
Well, the only thing I would say is I get that, but you're not playing any extra games.
Yeah, you're not. But I'm saying you're not going to get all 30 teams over there. Like I say, you play to get to the championship,
Right, but
somewhere outside of London.
Right, but
and
that's
then you
not.
go
It's
there
just part
to
of the
play
regular
5-game or whatever the series.
It's just part of the regular season.
Yeah, so it doesn't sort of disrupt what players are trying to. Players have big routines and they're babies when it comes to how dare you disrupt it.
Yeah,
and if you take care of that and you give them enough money, they'll keep their mouth shut and go over there and do it. I kind of like it. You get superstars buying into it, like Bryce. That will help.
Yeah, you've got to have guys who live up to it. And one thing about Bryce Harper really, well, and he embraced the whole thing.
Yeah,
but I mean, you think about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's been embracing the game since he was 14 years old.
Absolutely.
I mean, he really is. I don't like saying somebody's the face of baseball because I think that's really difficult, but he's certainly one of the faces of baseball.
Yeah, he's not the face.
No.
Who's the face?
Me?
No.
Who would I think? I think it's Shohei Ohtani.
I don't.
I think internationally it's Shohei Ohtani. I don't even think it's close.
I don't. Maybe internationally.
Well, that's what
the guy standing in center field for the Yankees. That's the face of baseball.
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I've never seen him in the World Series. I don't know. No, I think
the World Series.
No, but I think you probably.
I mean,
will.
I'm sure you're
Shohei
right, and
Ohtani's.
most people would agree with that. Just the owner of the Blue Jays is telling you that.
Well, no, I mean, I always use the Usain Bolt example. Could a guy walk into a store in any city in the world and be recognized? Aaron Judge wouldn't be recognized in places in Canada. I think Shohei Ohtani would be recognized. Oh, yeah. I think Shohei Ohtani would be recognized in a lot of places.
As much as I hate to admit it, you're probably right.
I am right. You know I'm right.
Well, it's first.
David Samson is a former MLB executive with the Marlins. He'll join us in a few minutes. Jayson Werth, former MLB outfielder with the Blue Jays, Dodgers, Phillies, and Nationals, co-owner of Dornoch.
Is that how you say it?
We'll find out. Winner of the 2024 Belmont Stakes. He'll be along at 5:30. And I've got some Jays tickets to give away. I will do that on the other side of this break. And then we will be joined by Isiah Kiner-Falefa, who has had a pretty good start to his Blue Jays career so far.
Raise your hand if you would have thought at the middle of June you'd like to see him up having the biggest at bat of the game. I mean, right now you could argue.
I think he's a terrific player on a really good team. He would be a terrific player on a really good team. Anyhow, we'll take a break. Come back.
Contributor.
IKF and tickets. Don't go anywhere. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, welcome back to Blair and Barker. 8:10 is the first pitch tonight from Milwaukee. Carlos Rodriguez on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers. You say Kikuchi. For the Blue Jays, Blair and Barker will be on following the game with Blue Jays talk. Isiah Kiner-Falefa of the Jays joins us in a few minutes.
It's a good dude.
Having a great year. Just looking at this.
It is amazing change of scenery. Well,
I mean,
some people don't like New York.
I don't know about that. I mean,
it's
he's been given a chance here to play every day.
And he tried to play shortstop in New York, and that's
No, I think that makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
We're giving you the chance to win Blue Jays tickets all season long here on Blair and Barker. All you have to do is text the correct answer to our daily baseball trivia question to 590-590.
Get it right.
Our last trivia question and answer was, this catcher had stints with both Cleveland and Toronto in the 1970s, but is better known to Jays fans as one of the team's broadcasters in the 2000s. The answer was Alan Ashby. Today's question, I mean, it would have to be a catcher because everybody we have as an analyst in this place is a catcher.
I'm not. Premier Vossi, buddy.
Yeah, I wonder what.
Backlick City off the bench.
Today's question is to win tickets to see the Jays and Guardians at the Rogers Center on June 16th. Before earning a seat next to Brett Lawrie in the Blue Jays clubhouse. Lowry. This MLB veteran-turned broadcaster enjoyed a 71-game stint with Cleveland back in 2009. Before earning a seat next to Brett Lawrie in the Blue Jays clubhouse, this MLB veteran-turned broadcaster enjoyed a 71-game stint with Cleveland back in 2009. Of course you do. Text the answer to 590-590 for your shot to win. See rules at sportsnet.ca/590. There was a reason they put him beside Brett Lawrie.
In the clubhouse?
Yeah, and it didn't work out all that well. You'll figure out who this guy is. You'll get him. You'll get him in a few minutes.
Why don't you just show it to me?
Well, because that would make for great radio, wouldn't it? There, I'm showing Barker.
Oh, come on. What? Yeah, I never got that. You knew that?
I did, yes. Yeah, not because it's yes.
Oh, they put this guy
next to,
not the other way around. I was thinking.
What do you mean?
Like it was
he was sitting beside him.
Yes, that's what that meant.
So yes, they put Brett Laurie next to this guy.
Yeah, I thought it was the other way around.
What's the other way around?
Brett Laurie was beside this guy. You see what I'm saying? But they brought this guy in.
But they're beside him anyhow. Just, dude.
No,
you're serious.
A little.
They put them side by side. So they put Brett next to this guy and this guy next to Brett.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, but there's a reason why they put that guy beside Brett. That's all.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, veteran leadership, like that.
There's a reason they put him beside Brett.
Let's go to, it wasn't the other way around. It's
I stopped.
That's why we go, let's go to dinner together and
stop.
Let's both go to the cage.
Stop.
I can teach you how to be a big leaguer.
Stop. David Samson will join us at 5 o'clock. Jayson Werth is going to be along as well. Yeah. He was a teammate of yours, was he not?
Yeah, it was short-lived in spring training. There's no way he'll remember me. I'm afraid to even ask. Do you remember me? Like, it ain't happening. So I'm not even going to ask. Absolutely. Just go fishing with him.
Jayson Werth had a hell of a career.
He did.
He had a great career.
He did. Easy pop. Easy.
Oh my God.
That's the only thing I remember about it.
Insane.
Easy, like not trying. The ball just jumped off his bat. And then I remember he had some chef that followed him around after he got paid that made him like little things of food.
For some reason, I thought he
thought it was pretty cool.
I thought he was a catcher for a while with the Jays organization, and that didn't work out. He was drafted by the Orioles in the first round of the 1997 draft, traded by the Orioles to the Blue Jays for John Bale in 2000, and then 4 years later was traded by the Jays to the Dodgers for Jason Frazier, and then 2006 signed his first big free agent deal with the Phillies.
Big one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Yeah, and then I forgot about that Nationals contract, which was like 29, 69, 49, 70. Yeah, it was over $100 million. And well worth it. Anyhow, so he bought a horse, and the horse won the Belmont Stakes.
I just remember that he didn't buy me a fishing pole once. I was a little upset about it.
He didn't buy you a fishing pole.
When you go with big leaguers, they're supposed to take care of the less fortunate.
What, he was supposed to go down? He was supposed to go down to.
It was, I'll meet you there. Go ahead and pay. It's like, okay,
he was supposed to go down to, what is it, Bass Pro or something like that, and buy you a fishing pole?
No, it was like spur of the moment. Bass Pro was really far away. It's Florida. And it was like a local either fishing place or a Walmart. Can't remember which one. But it was like we weren't going there to get we were not pro fishermen. We were excited about going fishing.
I was right, by the way. He was a catcher in the minors. And the Jays converted him to an outfielder. Anyhow. So, yes, we're looking forward to talking to Jayson Werth.
Yeah.
It is fascinating, just how the interest. I always remember this about Jaromir Jagr. When he came over to play in the NHL from the Czech Republic. I always remember this about Jaromir Jagr, how he took advantage of the opportunity presented him as a professional athlete to, do things, just go to art galleries, things like it. Just took advantage of the stuff to really broaden.
You've earned it.
To broaden his horizon.
Absolutely.
And I've always kind of, and it's kind of neat to see a guy, I don't know if it's necessarily stepping out of your comfort zone, but And it certainly takes a lot of money to play in this particular sport. But I just think it's kind of cool when guys find something after they finish playing that just satisfies their competitive drive, all that stuff.
I would think you'd want to find a really good trainer that knows horses, so they would help you pick the right horse to buy.
Yeah, I'm intrigued in asking him.
If you buy a crappy horse, then you're basically flushing money.
Yeah.
So you need to buy a good horse that is good at running.
There you go. Boy, that's
analysis you can only get on this show.
Analysis you can only get on this show. Let me tell you. A reminder that Rogers has announced an exciting new national contest. Bring Stanley home.
All week I'll be here.
To send Rogers customers and hockey fans from across Canada to the Stanley Cup final in Edmonton. Rogers customers have the chance to win 10 VIP trips for two to attend Game 4 in Edmonton on Saturday, June 5th. Who knows? You may even see the Stanley Cup presented after that game. This prize also includes.
Did you write that down so you made sure you're going to say
this
that?
prize also includes travel and accommodation plus premium viewing at a game day concert featuring Shania Twain outside Rogers Place. Visit rogers.com/.
That's pretty cool.
Stanley Cup to enter for your chance to win it for more detail.
Hockey's a long season, boy. Man,
it's long.
It's like mini camp will start like 2 weeks from now. It's like you get a whopping week off, and then let's go again. It is crazy. They earn their money, bud. I mean, let's not lie.
Dude, they do. They do.
I don't know anything about hockey, but I know they play a lot. So good for them.
And there's always like tournaments and all. I mean, it's not as silly as soccer players. Like there are teams in the Premier League who are playing exhibition games the day after their regular season. I mean, and then they go to the Euros. Like they're literally
hockey don't have a union.
Yeah, they do.
Is it any good?
I mean, I will refrain from commenting on it, but they do. Hockey players have traditionally, and there's something that's always kind of bothered me. Unlike baseball players who generally, and I have no problem with this, demand to be paid for stuff they're doing. It is remarkable how there's a part of hockey culture, and I don't think it's silly. It's just it's part of the culture where guys will do something for nothing. They'll play. I mean, you're a junior hockey player. You're basically paying for nothing. Now you're playing for the chance to be a pro eventually. You're going to make your money, but you're basically helping line another guy's pockets, and it is a thing. Like hockey players, they love to go to the Olympics, and I've always thought use that as a negotiating tool. But that's not the way. Not the way they're wired.
They play a lot.
That's not the way they're wired. They do play a lot.
Yeah, they earn it.
That's again. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it has always confused me. It's like NFL players going to voluntary OTAs, voluntary workouts. Why?
That's for quarterbacks.
Everybody goes, it's dumb. Why? You're paid to start work on this day. Stay in shape and start working that.
Locker room. Building chemistry in the locker room,
Balls.
Jeff. It is. It's true.
What do you mean maybe
balls?
as I just become maybe it's just as I've become older, I've kind of realized I
do nothing for free. That's what you're trying to say?
Well, no, a lot of it is just sort of having covered the game and during the 1994 players strike and during various lockouts in Major League Baseball and really understanding the importance of professional athletes being paid for what they do because their career could end any day. And, as much as you may think professional athletes are overpaid, trust me, there are people making more money than them off them. And
well said.
It takes a while to kind of wrap your head around the idea that it's not a kid's game. You may play your beer league hockey game for nothing, but that doesn't mean that anybody else should pay their sport for nothing. It just takes a while to play their sport for nothing. It takes a while to kind of get past they should be so happy because they got a great lifestyle and they're making a lot of money and they're playing a kid's game. It takes you a while to kind of realize, that's a lot of bunk.
Yep.
Dudes play because they
Think you nailed it, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
It's rare that I do that.
Yeah. 441 on Tuesday.
There you go. Mark it down. Very pleased at this time to be joined from Milwaukee by Isiah Kiner-Falefa of the Toronto Blue Jays. Isiah, thanks so much for taking time out to talk to us today. We greatly appreciate it. We trust you're doing well. It certainly seems that you are, watching you in the field these days. Kevin made this point a little earlier when we were talking about your season with the Blue Jays. We've talked about your versatility, and that's clearly a calling card for you. But Kevin made this point, and I'm kind of wondering about it. Are you finding it a little easier this year because you're not being asked to play shortstop as one of the positions that you're being fit into?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Happy to be on. It's good to talk to you guys. And I feel like my first year in New York was, that was a tough experience for me. I learned a lot. My second year in New York, I got off shortstop, and I really fell in love with moving around and everything. But I still believe, I don't really feel like that has a ton to do with it. I just feel like moving around and being able to move positions. I just feel a little more athletic. It takes the pressure off of having to be a 900 OPS guy that plays third base, because that's my game is more of a contact approach, driving runners in when they're in scoring position, moving guys over. So I like to be moving around. It just keeps me fresh, and it keeps my mind open to not just trying to be a traditional third baseman that has to hit 30 home runs to play. So it just gives me more opportunities, more room, and helps my ability to help the team.
Speaking of your offense, you went from having a leg kick to now having your toe tap, and I'm very intrigued on how you came about the toe tap. Why that part of it, right? It's in the cage. Is that how you come about what you're trying to do other than the leg kick by adding the toe tap? How did you come up with the toe tap, I think, is the question I'm trying to ask.
I felt like I kept getting beat on fastballs, and fastballs were my strong suit. And I was flaring a lot of balls to right field, and I just felt late. So I felt like the toe tap was an adjustment that it was hard because I really enjoy leg kicking. I feel like I have more power there, but when you're late on the fastball, you're late on pitches, it doesn't even matter. So I just I did the toe tap to kind of bridge. I felt like I was struggling a little bit, so made a little adjustment, and it kind of took off. So I stuck with it, and I'm enjoying doing it, and it's helped out a lot, and it's given me a chance to be on time every pitch.
You mentioned the fastball. What is the key to hitting the fastball in 2024?
It's hard. It's guys are throwing four seams, sinkers, and cutters. Usually they only have one. But they have all three fastballs now, so you don't know which fastball exactly is coming. So you have to be on time for when it does come. And that's like everyone's throwing hard, everyone's got nasty stuff. So you just got to be on time for the fastball, and that's how the game's changed. It's hard to even put those fastballs in play sometimes. So we talk about swings, we talk about mechanics and all the time, but I feel like being on time is something that the game's been missing for a long time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the doing away with the shift has helped guys who are versatile players defensively. Has that maybe added more value to it? Because I think we've seen the shift. It's been away long enough now that I think we can probably start looking at examining some of the results of it. You think it's increased the value of versatility, or had no impact on it at all?
I think it's definitely increasing versatility. You're not able to just plug guys out certain spots because, you used to be able to just put them in the right position and plays would be hit right at guys. Now you need a little more athleticism. Guys need to cover a little more ground to take away hits. And, defense matters more than it ever did because of the spacing guys need to cover now. So definitely helps versatile players.
I don't think anymore, by listening to you talk and people that we talk about hitting, it ain't see ball, hit ball anymore. Like when I used to play, it was simplify that thing as much as possible and see it out of the hand as quick as you can, get in an athletic position and be able to beat the guy to the spot. It seems to me, listening to you talk and listen to other guys talk that are playing in 2024, that's a little harder to do. Is it tougher now to game plan because it's harder to just not see ball, hit ball against a certain pitcher than it used to be? And if it is, how have you grown when it comes to game planning against certain pitchers?
Yeah, the game has definitely changed. I mean, guys are executing pitches. The umpires are actually, I feel like they're really good. They call, anything on the black, and they also get like that extra, you know how that new ABS thing is, where pitchers get like all they have to have is a centimeter of the ball on the plate. So they're getting a little bit of room, and these guys are throwing hard. So the game planning is tough just because it's hard to pick which pitch you want to slug. But I think for me, I just go into compete mode, try to keep it simple. I try to be on time, and you just everywhere you look for advice for hitting, all you see is mechanics and launch angles and exit velos. So I think we're just trying to get back to being on time, see ball, hit ball, because the game is already very, very hard. So just having that information of the analytics definitely helps. But at the end of the day, you have to go in there and keep things simple to even have a chance to be on time.
Isiah, I had a chance to talk to Evan Grant, somebody I've known for a while, just after you'd signed here, and he referred me to the story of how you were drafted and how you were discovered in Hawaii. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about that? Because it's such a great baseball story. A scout goes to look at a particular player. I think it was Marcus Doy, if I'm pronouncing
Marcus
it.
Doy.
Yeah, a catcher, and he saw you play, and the rest is kind of history. They kind of put you in their back pocket and said, "Remember this guy." Tell us a little bit about that, because it is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't really have many offers. I was signed to go to San Jose State. I had another offer to play baseball at BYU, but besides that, I really didn't have any D1 opportunities. And my dream was to go to the University of Hawaii, and I didn't get an offer there. It was crazy. And my teammate went to the Area Coast games, and he was the player, the MVP of the tournament that year. So he came back to Hawaii, and we had 15, 20 scouts at every practice the whole entire season to watch him, because he was a projected first rounder. And I got lucky enough to get that many eyes on me every day, and ended up getting picked up in the 4th round. I didn't really even have a lot of teams talking to me. There's only a couple of teams talking to me, and the Rangers were able to pull the trigger in the 4th round, and very surprising to the baseball world and a lot of people. But they called it a diamond in the rough, and it was a cool story.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too, because the Ranger scout who saw you, and this is such a quintessential baseball story. The first player who he ever signed was Terry Pendleton, who was
Steve Flores.
Yeah, he was an undersized third baseman from Fresno State. He was overlooked in the draft. St. Louis drafted him 7th, and he went on to have a terrific career. It's just it's kind of cool when you see stuff like that happen. It really does reinforce that, as much as you've got video and everything, and the scouting game has changed now, the idea that a guy can see somebody he likes and just kind of pound the table for him is so cool.
Yeah, I got lucky, man. They definitely pounded the table for me, and everything worked out. And now I get to play for Toronto, and I couldn't be happier.
Isiah, is there anything that you've been able to take away from playing, with guys like Aaron Judge with the Yankees when you're struggling, right? It's no secret that the Blue Jays as a whole lineup on an everyday basis are, having some challenges, scoring some runs. Is there anything that you could take away that maybe you could share with your teammates to sort of, have or help a lineup catch fire and sort of score a few more runs? Because, the way you guys play defense and the way you're starting pitching is, and some of the guys in the pen, if you could just figure out how to score a few more runs, man, your team would be really good. But is there anything you could take away from the former Yankees players that you played with?
Yes, it's definitely been frustrating. I think the biggest thing is, we gotta put things into our own hands, and start being, I wouldn't say more aggressive, but I think we need to do a better job of putting teams on their heels. When I was with the Yankees, I just remember playing third base and all these guys coming up, and I was ready for bullets. And, you know, I feel like as a team, I think that's the identity that we need to get back to. We need to be able to put teams on their heels, make them feel uncomfortable, you know, put pressure on them down the base path. And, you know, we just got to find different ways to win. I feel like New York really helped me in, you know, gaining armor for myself as far as struggling. And, you know, when things aren't going the way you want it to go, you hear a lot of the outside noise. But we have to do a good job of, you know, keeping that out of the clubhouse and, you know, being on goal, not lacking confidence and trying to really win ball games based off of our mentality and how we're approaching the game. And not waiting for a win to come our way, you know, taking the win, winning, going out and playing, trying to win games, taking it early and not just, you know, hoping that things fall or, you know, we really just need to do a better job of setting the tone ourselves.
That's a great answer. Okay, you're facing a guy, Carlos Rodriguez, tonight that you never faced before. Your first at bat. How do you attack at bats against guys you've never faced before?
You know, it's a little different. It's out of division game, so you don't really have to worry about taking the information, but you also have to realize like this kid. You have to first identify if he's on a pitch count or not. Because if he's on a pitch count, you definitely want to see some pitches and take him deeper into the game, or not deeper in the game, but get the bullpen in the game early. But if he's not on a pitch count, which a lot of these younger pitchers come up and they have a 4-inning limit or 5-inning limit, it's better to just be aggressive because, you know, you're almost better off treating them like a bullpen guy because you won't see them again. I mean, it might be 1 or 2 times through the order and they're out. These old school pitchers, you know, they're going 7, 8 innings. You're getting 3 or 4 at bats. So that first at bat, you're able to take some information. These young kids coming up, you might only see them one time through the lineup. And for me, being at the bottom of the lineup, I'll be lucky to see them 2 or 3 times. So just understanding, like, you know, it's a new guy. I've never seen him before. I don't know really what he throws. I know it's a 4-seamer. And, yeah, it's just being aggressive just because, you know, these young kids don't go as deep as they usually used to.
That's a great
Isaiah,
answer.
that's a great answer, man. Listen, thanks very much for doing this, and go get him tonight. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun watching you play and a lot of fun talking to you today. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you so much. Good luck.
Thank you. Hopefully, you know, I'm talking again soon, and it's all good. So I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right, take care.
Look forward to it.
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who is having a terrific year.
I really never looked at it that way. Like what pitch counts or innings limit. Like I'm sure they know everything.
Jay's lineup is out. It's Horwitz leading off at second. Jansen at catching, hitting second. Vladdy's DHing. Bichette, Varsho in the left. Turner at first. Springer in right. IKF at third. And Kevin Kiermaier.
No Schneider.
In center field. No Schneider. Which, you know, I mean, he's not going to play every day.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And, you know, let's see. I know Siddle talked about this last night, and so did Dan. I want to see Spencer Horwitz lead off. I just want to see how his skill set translates there.
Why not? Like they've tried everything else.
Well, they have.
Yeah, why not?
And he's let off before too. I think he let off Saturday or Sunday in Oakland. So. David Samson is host of Nothing Personal, the podcast. Jayson Werth, his horse won the Belmont Stakes. They'll join us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. Hey, what do you know? They let us come back. That's awesome. Blair and Barker.
Touch and go for a while.
It was touch and go. 8:10 will be the first pitch tonight. The Milwaukee
Brewers. You think people would miss us?
Huh?
Think people would miss us?
No.
It's getting that way.
They just fill it with some hockey show.
I mean, it's year-round. They'd have a lot to talk about. I mean,
8:10 is the first pitch tonight in Milwaukee as Yusei Kikuchi will take on Carlos Rodriguez. The Brewers bringing up one of their top pitching prospects to face the Blue Jays.
He sounds like he's good hitting, though. That's true.
Why would you go and say that?
I'm saying it.
Let's bring in David Samson.
Seriously, is that
personal.
the coolest chair you've ever seen?
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool. Hey, you're a Milwaukee boy, aren't you?
I am a Milwaukee boy. I was born there. I went to Wisconsin undergrad, and this chair is from Rawlings. You can go right on the Rawlings website and sit in a glove chair.
Wow.
Wow. By the way,
sounds expensive.
Was that you that I saw at the Florida Panthers game on TV? There was somebody. There was a clip of you high-fiving somebody, and I just looked at it and I thought that looks like Samson, but then I had other stuff to do, so I just moved on from it. But I was thinking about it when I saw you. That was you. You were at the Panthers. You and Ariana Grande were at the Panthers game.
That was with my son at the Garden, and
Okay.
we were one of 12 people at the Garden wearing Panthers jerseys. So it was very easy for ESPN to cut to us after a goal. And I love winning on the road. It was always the favorite part of my career, just having a ballpark totally silent, if not in tears. That's my number one.
I've always, and we'll move on to other stuff, but I've always remembered covering the Marlins clinching the World Series at Yankee Stadium. And you guys are out in the field celebrating. And you guys, and Jeffrey and you flew everybody down. I mean, you flew families and extended. I mean, it was great. And I remember sitting in the press box and I'm writing, and there's this argument going on behind me. And it's the Yankee Stadium people wanted to turn the lights off on the field so you guys would get the hell off the field. And George Steinbrenner basically said, they kicked our ass. Let them celebrate on the field. And I've always remembered that about when you talk about winning in another city.
Hold on. George Steinbrenner had the lights turned off inside the clubhouse.
Oh, so
while
there
we
you
were
go.
celebrating, and then they were turned back on, but he was not too happy. And people may not remember, but he was livid that a team that would receive revenue sharing dollars from his own team beat him in the World Series and then in his own stadium.
See, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the other way around. I was giving George more credit than he deserved. But I do remember that watching you jump out of your seat and run down at the end of the game, going down into the area behind the clubhouse. It must have been quite a feeling to win it at that stadium. Especially.
We're so happy to have had all the employees there. You know, you say that, and it was meaningful to them, meaningful to us. There's so much work that goes on inside a team that's off the field that people don't focus on or think about. Hundreds and hundreds of people who are involved every day, who live and die with the team, and to give them that experience. And they got to party both with themselves and with players that night in New York. We didn't fly out until the next day. So that was a great moment.
We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, David. There are a lot of teams. I didn't look at it today, but as of yesterday, there were 19 teams below 500 in Major League Baseball. Does that make the commissioner's office happy or upset, or do they just not care?
Yeah, let's talk about this for a second, if you don't mind. The union, if you recall, when the wild card out expanded, it was part of a financial deal, and there was a question over how much money the players would get and how that would work. And the agent, specifically our friend Scott, said by increasing the number of teams eligible for the playoffs, you're going to have a race to mediocrity. Teams will say, hey, we don't need to spend money on players. All we have to do is get into the postseason, and then anything can happen. But he didn't take into account that owners don't like, with the exception of Reinsdorf, don't like mediocrity because they don't want to have to sweat the possibility of losing and not being in the postseason. There is an ego within an ownership room. When you put all of them in the same room, it is not a run to mediocrity. And what you're seeing right now, it's just one of those things that will make the argument that the players in the union made seem prescient, but you're looking at a moment in time, and it doesn't necessarily have any correlation to expanded playoffs or to salaries going down. I don't think they are related, but clearly it doesn't look that way right now.
What do you think has caused it?
I don't. So I'm sorry to not give.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Stuff is cyclical.
What if it is just a moment in time?
Yeah.
Where you just, I hate making, personally, I try not to make any conclusory statements based on a snapshot. I like the idea of looking at how things are over a period of time as an indicator of why they are that way and if they are in fact that way, because then it takes away all bias you may have. And on the ownership side, there's bias. On the player union side, there's bias. So to me, it's important to try to stay neutral.
How hard is it for a front office because of how many teams there are vying for the third wild card spot? There's a lot, David. Like, there is a ton. As a front office, how much harder does it make it to make a meaningful trade? I'm not talking about just a trade, a meaningful trade with all of those other teams competing.
The reason I'm laughing is that right before we went live, I was looking just to make sure I had it in my mind properly. I've done a bunch of shows today and my brain is a little scrambled. So I was looking at the standings and I was looking at the wild card standings and I was looking in the National League and I was looking at the number of teams who are within striking range, because my rule was if you're within 5 games of a playoff spot on September 1st, you can send out playoff invoices and you can get money from people that you can then float during the offseason. And I'm looking and I'm seeing the Mets are 3.5 back. There's only 2 teams not in that window right now, the Rockies and the Marlins. The problem is it's totally delusional. For the Mets to think they can climb over, I want to make sure I get the count right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have to climb over 7 teams, but they're only 3.5 back. You can't climb over 7 teams. It doesn't really work that way. But clearly, if you're an owner of the Mets, Steve Cohn, you're thinking we got till July 30th. Let's see if we can be the team that has an 8-2 stretch or 2 8-2s back to back, and then we'll be leading the wild card race. So there's a lot of that talk right now amongst a lot of teams.
So it's not about being 500. It's about the teams in front of you. That's how a front office looks at it.
Big time.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we would always say publicly is, let's just get back to 500 and we'll roll from there. That's a very common statement that we'd make, but we're far more concerned about the standings and who we're chasing than what our actual record is.
David, one of the things Bryce Harper said after the London series, or actually might have been during the London series, but he was talking about how he would like to see the possibility of some sort of in-season tournament in Major League Baseball like the NBA has. And his idea, and of course, I was going to say recency bias. I'm sure he had a great time in London. Was let's play the final overseas, and help grow the game. How much? I mean, where do you think Major League Baseball is going to go with this, particularly in Europe? And could you see some sort of in-season tournament?
The NBA did it, and the group stage was part of the regular season. The quarterfinals were part of the regular season. Even the semis, only the final was this weird game where the stats didn't count and it didn't count for the standings. And so I always think about a player who would score 30 points in that game. The Lakers, when they raised their banner for winning the in-season tournament, it made me insane. Who gives an absolute crap about winning that? It was a PR, and the NBA wanted it. They got a sponsorship deal out of it. So my answer is, if MLB can sell it and the networks have an appetite for it, then it will have some legs. So example, ESPN has a deal with baseball. The rumor is they are going to opt out of the deal. If they opt out of it, they're only doing it to negotiate to get more assets. They're not trying to pay less money. They won't pay less money, but try to get things that are more interesting to them, which are jewel events and postseason. What the leagues have done is created this in-season tournament saying, look at this. We're delivering to you more exciting regular season games, not one of 82 in basketball or one of 162 for baseball. So in that way, I think it's possible. But Bryce Harper saying what he said, that's not the catalyst for it to happen. It would be a broadcaster initiative with the commissioner's office.
I guess the immediate issue I thought of is, we play series in baseball. I don't know how you would work at scheduling, in terms of scheduling, to have a one-off. One game between, I don't know, the Phillies and the Blue Jays, and then the Jays would go on to have a 3-game series against the Guardians, and the Phillies would I don't know, have an off day and go on and play the Cubs. I have a hard time kind of wrapping my head around that.
So they invented this crazy thing that we have here in New York, this computer. And what it does is it does these scheduling things.
So in other words, don't worry about it.
Exactly. I would tell you that if you send your team overseas or anywhere, you could send them to Vegas, maybe, and they play 4 games against 4 different teams, you have to worry about the logistics of turning over the clubhouse but that's about it. As long as you're playing every day with the day off, maybe out of those 4 days or 6 days, the schedule can handle that. So I'm not worried about that. It's really a matter of what the appetite is for broadcasters to pay for it.
Okay, I need your help, David. Me and Jeff do the post-game show, too, after we watch the Blue Jays score a run, which is not the easiest thing because me and Jeff try to be as positive of people as we possibly can, right?
I'm sure that shocks the hell out of you, Samson, knowing that I try to be positive.
It is a marathon, not a sprint, but it is getting harder and harder to talk about the Jays' offense with optimism, right? It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel because it's like Groundhog Day. You see the same thing over and over and over again. I need your help in telling me what part of the season do we start talking about a part of a team as it is what it is? Like, this is what you're going to see consistently, and it ain't going to change. When do I start talking that way?
Can I turn that back to you, if you don't mind?
Absolutely.
And can I ask you that when you're inside a clubhouse and you're in the middle of a slump or you're looking at yourself or a teammate, at what point do you say, ooh, this may be a season-long issue? Or do you say this is a moment, whether it's a day, a week, or a month, or even a half a season pre-All-Star break? When do you flip the switch personally?
That's a great question. Like that, I think is the challenge, David. Like, it is not the easiest thing to do to go home and look in the mirror and say, dude, you got more in the tank. I believe in you. You can do this. That is the biggest hurdle, I think, as a player to overcome. It's just happened a long time, David. Like, this thing with the offense, it is a lot. And to John's credit, John Snyder, the manager, he's tried everything. Like, he's leading off now, guys that are coming up from AAA who've never played a position before. Like, he's doing things to try and spark the lineup. I just wonder, is there a time? And if there's not, then we just continue to have hope, I guess, right?
It's one of those things like someone told me about love. You can't describe it. You just know it when you're in it. And that's how I feel about a team where we make our evaluation before the season starts, and then we look to see whether we were right or wrong. And we're much more readily willing to admit when we're right, and we delay if we're wrong, and we just delay the decision. And you need your owner to support you. And that's really one of the focuses for me that I'm looking at in Toronto is how supportive will ownership be, the corporate ownership, in terms of letting this season play out before selling. I just don't think it is going to happen in Toronto. I think you're going to stick with it, and it could end up being a disappointing season, but I think that the team will be given every opportunity to prove that it can be turned around until they are literally eliminated. And given what we talked about when this segment started, there's a likelihood that that won't come until September.
Okay, there is a guy with the Chicago White Sox in Luis Robert Jr. who is, when he's healthy, is a pretty good player. In your mind, do you think the Jays have enough to at least make a run at him?
I wouldn't make a run at him.
No?
Of course, every team has enough. They just said, I covered this on Nothing Personal today. They want, God bless the White Sox, they want a Juan Soto-like return for him. Well, why? He's not even in the same sentence as Juan Soto. He's played over 100 games once. Yes, when healthy. That is the great asterisk of all time. But he's not. At what point do you look at a player and say, this is just who the player is? Owners love to be delusional and say, oh, we're going to bring him in and it's going to be the way it was at his best. But we've got stats from the commissioner's office all the time that say, no, the way they are is the way they are and will be. I do not think that any GM is silly enough to think that he will somehow turn into the player he has never been, but always dreamt that he would be. And it's simply not a reflection of him or his work ethic. It's a reflection of life. The majority of players don't turn into what they could have been for a variety of reasons, both below and above the neck. I just would not empty the farm for, frankly, anybody on the White Sox.
Huh.
Juan Soto, how much do you think he gets as a free agent? Does he get $500 million?
So can we agree that Ohtani got $462? We can start at that.
Right.
Because everyone is trying to say that he got 700, but with the deferrals,
it's
the union doesn't have it at that.
Okay.
The commissioner doesn't have it at that. Is Soto a better player than Ohtani? And my answer is no. under no scenario is he a better player because there's a shot that Ohtani can still be a two-way player.
Mm-hmm.
It may not actually happen, but it's possible that it could happen. And for Soto, you got to love him as a player. You do. But there's some other factors there that I think would stop him and should stop him from getting that type of contract. On the other hand, Boras is not settling for anything less than the record. He promised Soto the record. He wants the record back from Nez, another agent who got the record with Ohtani. And so he's going to hold out for it. And on top of that, he turned down 440 from Washington, but there were deferrals in that offer that the Nationals gave him way back when. So it's going to be interesting, but it's not going to happen during the season. I can promise you that.
Knowing your friendship with Scott Boras, I'm wondering, do you think that he is going to be any more difficult to deal with this offseason because of what happened this past season in terms of his players? You know, I mean, you were on this right away about the Boras 4, right? And how nobody needs spring training. My guys are working out. They're going to be in great shape. Well, how'd that work out for you? Do you think he's going to be even harder to deal with this year?
I always find that desperate people are harder to deal with, and I think that he will be desperate this coming off season because he doesn't want back-to-back off seasons the way he got absolutely hammered and his players ended up not getting the deals they wanted, and even the deals they got, it turns out, were too good for their performance so far. So I think he is going to use this offseason as a way to, again, peacock and show that he's the best there is. And we'll see if owners still believe that.
David, really good of you
Great
to do
stuff.
this as always, my friend. Thanks so much.
I want that glove chair. I got to go
Barker
get one of
wants a
those.
glove
It's
chair.
really nice. Is it comfortable, David?
No.
Okay.
Parker doesn't want to pay for it anyhow. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That's awesome stuff.
David Samson, host of Nothing Personal, the podcast. It is a great chair.
It is wonderful, but it's got to be comfortable. I mean, I'm sitting in it talking to you for hours at a time.
Yeah, we do need to.
We've asked the higher ups to, help us out.
Yeah.
Old timer and a big guy. You need some chairs, my friend. I mean,
yeah.
We may have to start passing around the hat, Jeff.
Well, you never know. Going to be joined by Jayson Werth in a few minutes. He doesn't we don't have to pass around the hat for Jayson.
It's not. Oh.
A couple of things I did want to talk about. Went on the MLB.com website today, and there's a picture of Bo Bichette underneath the story, Dodgers looking for a shortstop.
Yeah.
Which, no surprise. But I just stumbled on something on ESPN site that got me thinking, and is actually one of the reasons I asked Samson about Soto. Yet another survey of baseball people. The question was, how much does Juan Soto get? And who are the teams that are involved in the hunt?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people think the Blue Jays are going to be after Juan Soto.
You think so, huh? I mean, the Blue Jays are always in the mix, right? I mean, it's sort of used the team to sort of catapult that player for another team, right?
I don't know if you necessarily have to do that with Juan Soto.
Maybe.
I don't think you have to do that with Juan Soto.
I mean, I'm sure Scott's going to do whatever it takes to get that record. I just wonder if he would ever get more money than Aaron Judge.
Well, this is okay.
Say he's with the Yankees. Would they ever pay him more than Judge?
So they asked, they being Kylie McDaniel, who very good reporter, got responses from 28 different front office people. The average of all projections was 11.6 years and $482 million, which works out to a $41.4 million annual average. But again, and David's right, I think we need to recalibrate a bit when it comes to Shohei Ohtani and realize that we're actually talking about $462 million.
Yep.
And I think David's also right. I mean, clearly you've got a guy who's a two-way player versus Juan Soto, who's going to get more money. The thing is, I don't know if Scott Boras sees it that way, right?
Well, he doesn't.
I mean, now he turned down 440, but he was younger when he turned down 440, and that still makes a difference because you want to get as many premium years as you can out of a player.
I wonder if it would help if he's the reason why the Yankees win the World Series.
Okay, that was where I was going with this. And I was going to ask you this. If the Yankees go on to win the World Series and he has an MVP caliber year, even though, let's say, Aaron Judge is going to hit more home runs, but if he has a good year, do you think that plays up his value even more? Or do you think it makes it even harder for the Yankees not to sign him?
Yeah, I wonder if teams are saying, would he be as good by himself? Would he be as good in this lineup, whatever lineup that is, without Judge?
It's interesting you said that because I was thinking about the Mets, because everybody thinks the Mets are going to be players in that market. But I'm also wondering, and of course money talks, but if the Mets don't re-sign Pete Alonso, it's hard to make the case that Juan Soto is going to be surrounded by uber talented hitters in that lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think they went out and gave up what they gave up to get Soto to help Judge when it matters the most, right? One's feeding off the other. You can't pitch around both of them. It's that kind of thing, right? When you give a dude whatever the number is, $500 million, that's aircraft carrier. How can he do that by himself? He's going to get his money regardless, but what that number is, the people that I talk to, and I had this conversation with people that are around the Yankees a lot more than I am, and the very first thing out of their mouth when I asked the question about would the Yankees re-sign him, they said there's no way they're giving him more money than Judge gets.
Judge is the captain.
He is like the modern day unicorn, buddy. Like it is just, okay. And there's something to that, right? It's the Cole Judge thing.
Here is
Are
the
you
thing,
giving Soto basically a hired gun?
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
Aaron Judge is 32 years old.
I don't think that matters in New York.
Oh,
not with that guy.
Aaron Judge is 32 years old. Juan Soto is going to be a free agent.
26 or 7, man.
Yeah. So we're talking a 5-year difference in age.
Yeah.
That does matter.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that the Yankees come out and were saying something about the payroll, and there's a reason why they were saying that.
Yeah, but it's also maybe 5 years younger than Juan Soto or than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Nationals, I know the Nationals are saving up some money. Maybe they make another run at some stuff and trying to get better. And
I think Juan Soto
he's going to go to the highest bidder. You know as well as I do. If whoever gives him the number that they want, that's where he's going. He ain't going there it's only a handful of people that can afford that.
I'll tell you what,
if he's a Blue Jay, then you start to ask yourself, what do you do with Bo and Vladdy? Would it be okay? Now you could warrant trading one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in him, you trade Bo to the Dodgers, you get whatever you're getting for Bo. You got Vladdy and Soto. It's obvious that Vladdy needs help. And
you got Daniel Vogelbach still around.
He just needs.
I'm sorry. That was completely unnecessary. I apologize to those of you who heard me say that. That was unnecessary.
It would save jobs, I would think. It'd make it a little easier for people to.
Anyhow, let's
move on.
Let's move on. Let's step away. Jayson Werth is a former MLB outfielder. I was right. He was a catcher in the Blue Jays organization. The Jays made him an outfielder. Won a World Series with the 2008 Phillies. Had a long, distinguished career. His horse, Dornoch, he's a co-owner of, won the 2024 Belmont Stakes in the weekend. I'm really looking forward to this interview. Former teammate of Barker's. Man's got a World Series champion, former teammate of yours.
Can't get any better than that.
And his horse won the Belmont Stakes. You want to talk about somebody who was
a dream life
born under a lucky sign. Let me tell you, Jayson Werth joins us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, welcome back to Blair and Barker. A reminder that tomorrow's Blue Jays game is sometime in the afternoon. I don't know, I think it's 2:30, something like that. Anyhow, 2:10, whatever. Around about 2 o'clock, turn your TV set to Sportsnet and your radio to the Sportsnet 590 The Fan. You will hear Honest to God Live Major League Baseball starring the Toronto Blue Jays. And we'll be on TV afterwards doing Blue Jays talk. And we'll also be doing Blue Jays talk tonight after an 8:10 first pitch. Tomorrow is Chris Bassett against Tobias Myers.
Not one time have you said a winning edition.
I'm just not going there anymore.
Smart move.
No, it's not that. I mean, look, they're 2 games under 500.
3 games.
2.
Okay. 2 games. I get it mixed up.
I mean, when you got a dude from Virginia Tech and the University of Manitoba on the same show and you start tossing math around and numbers, it just does not. It's like, it just does not work out.
Potato. It's like David said it doesn't matter if they're 500 or not.
I'd still like to know why they put Tech at the end of the Virginia name.
Smart people go there.
Yeah. Anyhow, trust me, they are 2 games under 500 at 32 and 34 ahead of tonight's game against the Brewers. The lineup's out. No Davis Schneider. Spencer Horwitz is leading off. I'm going to throw something out to you, Kevin, because we've talked about Yusei Kikuchi in terms of he's eligible for free agency, what the Jays may get for him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You think the Jays have to have a talk about re-signing him first before they decide to move on from him?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will do that.
No, I think they really, truly need to address their offense.
Okay.
They need to take the money that they were going to spend on Yusei Kikuchi and figure it out. This has been 2 long off seasons of the same stuff you're rolling out there. Like, I mean, you would think, hopefully sooner or later Alek Manoah will be back. They can go out and get a free agent veteran pitcher who can, give them 5 innings, score more runs. Whatever you need to do in the off season, you would think that would have to be their first priority, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just 2 off seasons in a row here. Like it's
absolutely.
That's
absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Why are you laughing for?
There you go. Let's bring in Jayson Werth, former MLB outfielder, co-owner of Dornoch, the 2024 Belmont Stakes winner. Jason, thanks so much for joining us. No, I'm laughing because Barker's been telling everybody that he was a teammate of yours.
It's true.
And I'm working with Kevin. It's like working with a one-man immaculate grid. Like him and Eric Kratz. They basically played with everybody. So anyhow, it made my day. It made my day.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey, first of all, congratulations, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I got to imagine that you're still on a high from that. But I just have a very simple question, man. Like, how did you get into horse racing, and at what point did you decide that? Because this is pretty high stakes, right? At what point did you decide that you really wanted to go in with both feet, as it were?
Yeah. So I mean, most people think I'm nuts, and I probably am. But I started playing golf with some guys that own horses, and it was like a Tuesday afternoon, and we come in like Tuesday like 2 o'clock or something, and they come in, they turn the horse race on, and I'm like, they're talking about, I don't know what they're saying, but I'm like, what? Is this a rerun? I'm thinking like, is this this happened last night? Like, surely they're not running at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, And they're like, no, we have a horse running today, like the next race. I'm like, they run right now? And I'm like, you guys own horses? Like, what's going on? So that was kind of like day one. And then, after a few months of watching these guys cheer on their horses, I mean, I was like, all right, that's enough. I gotta get in on this. So we started with some low level stuff, and those guys they do Florida breds, and they run some lower level races, and then I started going to the sales and just meeting people, and horse racing is all about relationships, and it's just kind of like a social thing. You start talking to people, and like, you should get in on this, you should get in on that, and the next thing you know, you own like parts of 35 horses, and you're running in the Kentucky Derby. It's hard to explain how
how we got to this point so quickly and have had the success that we've had. I would just call it dumb luck if it wasn't, anything else. But it's been a crazy ride. It's been like a 3-year journey. You buy those. We bought Dornoch when he was a year, so he was a yearling, and then so you go a full year without nothing but the practice runs and breezes they call them, and you have no idea what you have or what you're getting into, and we had some success thank you. We had some success on a few different horses. Our Callie Kim was a good mare that I had that just recently retired. She was we're pointing her towards the Breeders' Cup, and actually there was a race on Friday that she could have ran in, but she got injured and she's been done. But she was a nice horse. I got a horse named Drip that would have been the favorite in the Tampa Bay Derby. And the Tampa Bay Derby was winning. You're in the Kentucky Derby. So between Drip and Dornoch, I had two shots at it, and that's two out of 5 colts that I bought as yearlings. So it's crazy to think, and it's not lost on me. I mean, I know how hard it is to win, and how crazy the odds are and all that. So I'm blessed and I'm thankful and very grateful, and I respect the sport a great deal. But it's been a wild ride, and to win the Belmont, as you can imagine, it's been absolutely just insane. I mean, it's hard to explain how crazy it is.
I remember talking to Alex Anthopoulos about when they won the World Series, and he was talking about sort of the life of a GM once the World Series starts. There's only so much you can, you try to make sure the logistics work out and all that. But, I mean, you can't make a trade, can't add anybody. I mean, basically, here we go. And you just kind of sit back, and it's almost like it's never – he said it never seems like it's out of your hands more than when you're the GM of a team in the World Series. I'm wondering, as a competitive athlete, what's it like? Like, you're sitting up there, and there's literally nothing you can do, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing you can do. That's got to eat at you in some ways, doesn't it?
It's after playing for as long as I did and playing the biggest stage, and even when I was in high school playing, I didn't get nervous for games, baseball, basketball, whatever. But I didn't feel the pressure, the nerves of the game. I was just, it was like, it's business. We're going to go out there, we're going to play. And with horse racing, it's the exact opposite. I'm having a nervous breakdown. During the Kentucky Derby, when they were loading the horses, I was literally hyperventilating. I almost passed out. I was so nervous. I mean, the stakes are so high. I also don't have any experience in this game. You know what I mean? So these are just my initial reactions is just a full on, nervous, whatever you call it. I need anxiety drugs or something. I don't know. I'm losing my mind, but. I compared the Derby to it'd be like playing on opening day of the season, and then also the 7th game of the World Series. All the while, you're the owner of an NFL team that's NFL franchise that's getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. It's those emotions of those 3 things combined, and you have no control over it. So and these horses are so incredible. They're the coolest creatures, and they all have different personalities. And you go and the better they are, the more you get to know them because you spend more time with them. So with Dornoch, we'd go to the barn, we go see him. We go see him when he's training. Anytime we're close, we'd make a trip to go see him. So he becomes like this, member of your family that you love, and you pull for him so hard. So the emotional connection to the horse is a whole other thing that people in horse racing, that the ones that just bet on the horses, I don't think they get that side of it. So the owning the horses is a whole different animal that is awesome. It's so much fun. It's so cool to experience it, and it's been such a great release for me as a retired professional athlete, because you have an avenue to to like feel those, those competitive juices and the things that you kind of felt every day, during a 2-minute, just absolute, full send, race. It's crazy. I love the sport.
Is there yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody that's helped you or taught you what a good horse is or what a good jockey is? I'm assuming when you're spending money on a horse and, somebody to ride it, you want to get the best of both of those worlds. Is there somebody that's close to you that you really trust that whenever they say, man, that's a good horse or man, that's a really good jockey, you're buying into that?
Yeah, I rely on the experts. So the guys that, you have that buy the horses, that look at them, they kind of do the scouting, if you will. Like you try to spend time with them and learn what they're talking about, but you rely on those guys. I mean, I don't have any experience, I don't have any knowledge. The last thing I would want to do is have input into this sport, and I've learned to watch the races and know what I'm looking for. I'm trying to learn as much as I can in a short period of time here. I feel like, the biggest novice when it comes to the actual stuff, but definitely picking up on as much as I can. I've immersed myself into the sport. I'm passionate about it. I can't get enough of it. It's so underrated. I mean, I knew horse racing, was a thing or whatever, but I had no idea that it was this cool or, it was this big a deal and could be, you could have an experience as big as what we've just had.
Have you ever ridden one of them before?
I went on to do some trail riding as a kid, on a few times, and nothing relevant, and I don't even know how I feel about riding them because I go watch the thoroughbreds and the colts train and how the guys that know what they're doing, how tough they are to to train and do things. So I don't know. I like the sport of horse racing. I would love to own a horse farm and go out there and feed them apples and peppermints and pet them and that whole thing. But I'm no cowboy, that's for sure.
I'm with you.
Jayson, last question before I let you run. You get asked a lot, I'm sure, about your days as a major league ball player, and I'm interested. Where does Toronto fit in the whole thing for you? Because I know that I remember you with the Blue Jay. I remember you at spring training. And was it the Blue Jays that converted you from catcher to outfield? And how did that come about?
So, look, Toronto was the organization that brought me to the big leagues, and they traded me away from Baltimore after my first Double-A season with Baltimore. I had a good year that year in 2001 in Double-A in Tennessee, and next year I was in Triple-A, and that was the year they came to me and said, well, I guess it was before the Double-A season. They asked me to play a different position and see about splitting time. We had Kevin Cash, Guillermo Quiroz, and Josh Phelps was at our level, and so they asked me to maybe play a little first base. And then the next year in spring training in 2002, Dick Scott came to me and he said, would you consider maybe trying? And before he could even get the word outfield out of his mouth, I said yes. So I think I caught 20 games that year. And by about, the end of May, it was pretty apparent that I was born to be an outfielder and I had no business catching. So, and then I go to the big leagues that year and, I played left field and a little bit of center in AAA, and I get to the big leagues and I walk in the stadium there and my name's batting ninth and it's got a 9 next to it. And I never played right field, and I actually had to sit there and look at it, and it took me a second to let it sink in that I was starting in right field against the Yankees today, my first day in the big leagues. So, and the crazy part is the first pitch of the game, Soriano hits a fly ball to right field with the dome open. That I tell everybody, and I'm pretty sure it's true, that was the highest fly ball I ever caught in my big league career.
Well, the ball does find you.
It does.
It does. The ball went over the Space Needle and ended up somehow in my glove. So it was definitely memorable. And I love Toronto. It was a great city, great people, and I had a good time there. I was kind of at the beginning of my career, still trying to figure things out, and no place for me there. They traded me to L.A. Right before the season started, and had a kind of a breakout season in 04 in L.A. And then and spring training of 05 is when I hurt my wrist and really didn't play like every day again until the end of the 07 season. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of turmoil in my early career after leaving Toronto, but fond memories for sure.
Yeah, well, it's all worked out, man. Hey, listen, thanks so much for doing this, and again, congratulations.
Pretty cool,
and I no pun intended here, but enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the ride. Cool. Thanks for talking to you guys.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Be well. Jayson Werth. What a tremendous story. What a tremendous life as a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And the reason that organizations wanted you've seen Jayson Werth play. He's big. Yeah. And one of the reasons that organizations wanted him out from behind the plate was
he wasn't very good at it
because he was big,
and he could hit. I think that was the thing.
The main thing is I remember
play every day.
Dick Scott was here when J.P. Ricciardi was here, and they were looking at this guy and they're going, this guy's could be such an offensive machine.
Yeah,
let's take him out from behind the plate, and he's right. Kevin Cash was part of the organization. Guillermo Quiros was a guy that they had a lot of hope for. Mm-hmm. And then he was traded for Jason Fraser, in a deal. Jason Fraser pitched a lot of baseball for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Gibby liked him for sure.
It's kind of cool when you go back and look at a guy's career and and winning, getting the big contract, winning a World Series, and now,
I think it's pretty funny. You don't like to ride. I think that's pretty funny.
Tall dude and former ball player. I mean, the knees, I would think.
I mean, I would think if you're spending that much money on a horse and
got to be cool
how fast they go, you'd like to feel that. Like just
I found it.
Get on it and let it eat. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, and congratulations to you for not asking him how analytics have figured into the horse racing business. I was wondering what Dornoch's exit velocity was.
I'm sure there's something to it.
But interesting hearing him talk about too how when you watch it and you bet on it, it's different than actually owning the horse, the living and breathing thing, and having it not just a financial stake, but an emotional investment in it. You're going to see this thing. Like,
if it loses, you still got to feed it. Like I think that's the whole. It's like I'm still paying for it, even if it's losing all the time. Like I think that's the difference. Yeah, that's what I said. Like you got to make sure you're around the right people, buying the right horses.
Yeah,
and I mean it's all about the person riding it too. Like it's about how they start. How you get them out front? Are they pushers? Are they leaders?
The thing about
you got to know all that. Like
the thing about Jayson, though, if anybody has listened to him interviewed or seen anything that he's done on TV, on MLB Network or any of those places, like you can tell where he's the type of guy that people you'd love to be in a partnership with Jayson Werth because he's got a great he's a smart dude. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a guy who, again, this career wasn't linear. He wasn't, as he talked about, he had a couple of years where he was just kind of a tweener.
I know he didn't remember me, but I do remember he's not afraid to spend money. He'll write the check.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of, getting in that business, you can't be pinching pennies like you.
No.
You're in it, you're in it. And I think he's one of those guys that are not afraid to do that. And
it
just seems like he enjoys it. I guess that's half the battle.
Did you ever have, when you got out, did you have a problem with, I don't know, towards the end of your career, were you still a competitive guy? And did you have trouble finding outlets for competitive? Or by the time you were done, were you just saying, I don't want to have,
I was in my birthday suit, Jeff riding buses in the Mexican League. I'd had enough.
You'd had enough? Yeah.
Competition was over. Okay. Like it had literally taken everything I had.
There was no romance. There was no.
It was, we'll go and leave the bats here and the glove here and see you later.
All right. Because, you do run into athletes that have a difficult time channeling, Yeah, Michael Jordan famously, man. He had to compete in everything.
I like to say that the back of my baseball card, I earned every number on it. Every number.
And you're happy with it?
Yep. Well, I mean, I could have been happier.
Yeah.
Like, I could have,
if only
being labeled by probably some scouts that probably shouldn't have been scouts. Yeah, there's not like I'm not feeling a little hatred there, but yeah.
If only somebody got you in a hitting lab, my friend.
I mean, they could have hooked me up to a big giant computer and fixed me in a hurry. Absolutely, I'd have taken it. I mean, there's at one point you could hook me up to anything. I'd have tried anything. You, what? Just turn me loose in a room full of. Yeah,
that's such a fun story.
That is pretty cool.
I'm really.
He actually, and it's funny he picked the jockey up, and because Jayson is a giant human.
Oh, he's a massive
and
human
he's got
being.
the hair down to his, to his fanny, and it's just he's got the full beard. Like
Yeah.
I mean, he's sort of perfect. It's almost.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect.
Like
he's losing money, and it's just like
you can see
he's having fun. It's pretty cool.
You can see Jayson being very comfortable walking around. You
can also see him scared to death, not wanting to watch his horse race.
But you can see him be careful walking around like a stud farm in Kentucky with a bourbon in his hand, just kind of walking around.
Cigar in his other hand. That looks like a good horse.
I like that one. It's got 4 legs. It's got 4 legs.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so there you go.
That was fast.
That was tremendous.
That was a good day.
Kudos to our producer, Mark Boffo, for
showing up this week. Way to go, buddy.
He did, yeah. Yeah, I know why he's doing it, because he's not working tomorrow because we have the post-game show. So he emptied the chamber. He emptied the chamber.
Did
he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got Friday to do, too.
Well, tomorrow you can earn your money.
Who?
You.
Give me a couple of runs to work with. Please.
You're asking way too much.
Give me a couple of runs. I mean, I'm almost begging right now for just a couple of runs.
It'll be fine. They'll score 4. They'll be all right tonight.
This will be the game where the bullpen.
Man. No. You say
I got a feeling.
You say he'll be good. He'll go 7. They'll turn it over to Chad Greens and the Jimmy Garcias.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right. I got a feeling.
Tim Mays has been missing in action for a while, so you might want to not or do see that, depending on how big of a fan you are of Tim Mason.
Anyhow. Yeah, let's move on.
Positivity, Jeff.
Yes, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon following the Jays game with Blue Jays.
If they let us.
Well, they'll let us. Unless there's a hockey player that needs to.
Maybe there's a new tournament.
They could probably fill time talking hockey, I'm sure. That's it. We'll be doing Blue Jays talk tonight as well. A winning edition. I can feel it in my bones. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.